10 rules of success. I was buying you guys time. Rule number 1, in your own words, if you have to guess, what do you guys think? Go ahead, bismillah. Prayer. Excellent. What else? What do you guys think? Not incorrect, but not fully correct. Well, not correct. It's my rule. It's my list of rules, but it's close to my rule number 1 is, I heard discipline. That's good. I like that. It's a good word. Discipline is more important than motivation, but this is like a motivational speech, though. But discipline, you can't really get discipline from listening to the talk. You can get motivated, and then discipline's on the individual to really, be consistent and so on. And that's what differentiates people. But it's a good word. I like it. What do you guys think? Rule number 1. Prayer was close.
Trying.
Because prayer, tribe?
Trying, like attempting.
Oh, trying, like effort, putting in effort? I like that. No. It's good though. I heard tribe. Tribe is like number 10. It's not tough. It's not nothing complicated. Yeah, but prayer was close, but it's wider than prayer because prayer is just one of many obligations and many.
Believe in God and understanding that He's like.
Believe in God. Rule number 1 is put God first. Put Allah first. Make sense? Put Allah first, always and everywhere. Many of us act a different type of way when we're in the hallways, in the classrooms, versus the masjid, versus school, versus parents, not parents, friends, not friends, depends on who you're around, etc. It's completely illogical and nonsensical. And a lot of this we're going to hear today, you've already heard in different forms. I don't think much of it is original, but just reminders, inshallah. It's illogical to act differently in the masjid versus outside the masjid, for example, because Allah is not inside the masjid. Allah is above the heavens, but He's with us. He's everywhere in His knowledge and His wisdom, His hearing, His seeing. But it makes no sense to act a different type of way in the masjid. Allah does not exist in the masjid. Nor is our deen meant to be just prayer, dua, dhikr, Quran, salah, tahajjud, qiyam, umrahs, and hajj, zakah, and sadaqah. I can go on and on. You get the point. Those are just one slice of the pie. Those are your personal rituals, your personal ibadah. So it's one slice of the pie of our deen, our lifestyle. And Allah says in the Quran, what does He say about our purpose? What does Allah say about our purpose? Our purpose is to? Allah says in the Quran that our purpose is to? You're guessing. It's not inaccurate, but the ayah doesn't say be a servant, but it's good. Well, it's true, but like the ayah says what specifically? I mean, I shouldn't say this. I mean, use your own words. Nothing wrong with that. But the ayah says our purpose in life is to worship Allah, right? So a lot of people take that and they'll think of the masjid. They'll think of your prayer and your fasting and your charity and dua, and those are a list of things. And a lot of us are falling short in those. But many of us are told that. Is there anything you guys want? Any feedback or? Yeah, a lot of people will think that is what ibadah is. The pie of ibadah. I'm not saying that's your work. That's your purpose in life. It's to worship Allah. But worship isn't just your actions, your rituals between you and Allah. It includes every other aspect of your life. So we're taught many times that like we have a box where it's like religion, and then you have a box like school, education, career, business, entrepreneurship, whatever you want to call that box, finance, money, fine. 2 different boxes. Politics or whatever, if you're into that, social justice, activism is another box. And you have other, your friends, social life, fun, etc. You might have a bunch of boxes, and religion is one. And you're trying your best. This is a good, sincere person who's trying to be as close to Allah as possible, but they already have the wrong setup, and you're setting yourself up for failure. But it's not necessarily your fault because your parents, with all due respect, or teachers at school, or whatever, whoever it is, especially our parents in like a lot of countries that they come from, they were taught religion this way, and it was not necessarily the best intention, But then people could be ignorant, but it could be someone else who intentionally sold them on this lie. But if you see it as religion is one of the boxes in your life and you're trying to balance, you're already that's the wrong way to look at it. There is no box called religion or deen. You have the boxes are money, career, education, etc. Maybe friends and family, loved ones, all the different ways you spend your time, right? School, education, work, etc. One day it's gonna be wife, husband, kids, etc. And free time, nothing wrong with that, chilling, having fun, etc. And then all those different boxes, your money, all those different boxes, they're supposed to fall under an umbrella, which is your deen. Your deen is how you go about making that money, because there are ways to make the money that are not pleasing to Allah. Does that make sense? We're still on point number 1, is putting Allah first. So put Allah first when you deal with money. How do you earn it? How do you spend it? A lot of people, yes or no, a lot of people have the view that money is haram or at least makruh. It's like something not to talk about. If you're religious, you're basically deciding to, okay, I'm not going to look at money. I'm going to dedicate my life to not making money. Is that accurate, or if I'm off, tell me. I haven't met most of you. I've only been to Chicago a few times. I've never been to Benedictine University. Is this stuff kind of like, is this relevant, not relevant? Be honest, or else what's the point? Being religious versus making money. All right, it's not correct. Actually, I'll be direct and I'll just say it. We have enemies, and enemies would love for you to think that money is an evil thing, so that they have all the money themselves. And what are they going to do with that money? They're going to hurt you. They're going to hurt people. They're going to run after their own personal interests, and they're going to oppress people. So if you're upset about all the social injustices in the world, There's a reason they came about, and there's a reason, and there's a way to curb them. But thinking that money, power, status, fame, leadership, all those things are evil in and of themselves, give me an ayah or hadith that says money is evil. But a lot of rich people go in hell. If you give me a hadith that says a lot of rich people are going to hell, that's not the same thing as saying money is evil. It's two different things. Put Allah first. When you're dealing with money, earn it in a way that's pleasing to Allah and spend it in a way that's pleasing to Allah. Money itself is not evil. A person can be evil. You can use money for evil ways. You can earn it in an evil way. If you create it, you can make millions of dollars because you have an OnlyFans agency. OnlyFans is haram. Money is not haram. Does that make sense? And you got sins, but it's not because you earned millions of dollars. Because someone else earned millions of dollars by creating a construction company. Someone else did it through investment in real estate. Obviously, there's a lot more to be said. There's a lot of sub-points. I'll leave it for Q&A, so I'll keep moving forward. Rule number one was? Come on, guys. I flew in here from another state, and I'm going to another state afterwards. Come on, guys. Put God first, or put Allah first. Beautiful. That's rule number one. Everywhere and always. Even when you're chilling and taking a break, like thinking about Allah all the time doesn't mean you're praying all the time or fasting all the time. Allah, alhamdulillah, our deen doesn't say pray all day, fast all night. Or the opposite. I got that one wrong, but doesn't mean that. Even when you're relaxing and chilling with your friends, if you're thinking about Allah, you watch the words you use. You're going to backbite. You can have a good time and not backbite or lie or curse or so on. Nothing wrong with spending time and just having fun, right? Put Allah first always. In the masjid versus outside the masjid, Allah's not in the masjid, so it doesn't make any sense. Rule number two. Rule number two, can you guys guess? It's alright if it's wrong. I came up with the list, you probably never read it. Rule number two, a couple of people came late. We're talking about success. From the Islamic point of view, which is the point of view, if you want to be successful in Allah's eyes, what else matters? If you're successful in Allah's eyes and everyone on the planet thinks you're a failure, which is never going to happen. No one on the planet, people don't fully agree on anything. If everyone on the planet thought you were a failure and Allah thought you were successful, you're successful. If everyone on the planet thought you're awesome and amazing, they love you, and Allah's not happy with you, you gain nothing. So rules of success. Rule number one, put Allah first. Rule number two? Just guess. The thing is, you guys are in school where everything's about you're trying to get an A or 100, which is obviously that's the goal, nothing wrong with that. But you don't want to guess things and you want to get something wrong because wrong you start deducting. You guys know the real life outside of school. Not that school is. I'm sure you guys watch YouTube videos on college is a scam and all that. It's not completely true, but it's not completely false. There's some good points in there. I'm trying to find. All right, I'll use the bottle of water. But there are things that you have to, as you leave school, inshallah, eventually you're all going to leave school. There's some things that I hope that you guys will be able to kind of recalibrate, but it's going to be tough. It's taken me years to change some things I had, some mindsets I had in school because you were in it for so many years. I'm actually still in school, but yeah, it took me a number of years to do things. One of them is that don't want to try anything. You might fail at it. If you fail, oh my God, you fail. But in real life, the more things you try, the more things you're going to succeed in. So yeah, you guys are going to work on it. It's a complete tangent, but it just came to my mind because no one's trying to guess. Rule number two. Number one, you put Allah first. Number two, just try it, man. Go ahead. What happens if you get it wrong? Huh? Follow this one? Okay, I put that all as a number one because put Allah first, you follow His prophets and His messages and His books. That's good. The logic is there. Point number two is? Yeah, so Salah was point number one is, you're dedicating your life to worshiping Allah. Worship meant a lot of different things, including prayer. You guys are good. They're all correct. It's not wrong. I have it. Rule number two is be dutiful to your parents. I didn't use. You guys are all right. These are not wrong. You guys are fine. So I'm saying, if you want to be successful in the real world, it's okay to try and you got it wrong and you remembered and who said it right and it's just trying to get that A in classes. It doesn't really necessarily correlate to the real world. But maybe if you're trying to be a surgeon, yeah, if you're trying to do business, it's completely different. But anyways, you can think about that in a few years, inshallah. Point number two is be dutiful to your parents. I was very cautious and very cognizant about the wording I used. I wrote be dutiful to your parents. I didn't say, okay, it could have been respect your parents. Dutiful is even more so. We'll talk about that. But I purposely didn't put obey your parents. Let's talk about this. Don't do this. But I was like, imagine if I said raise your hands if you have zero issues with you and your parents. It'd be like nobody, right? Relevant, not relevant. Who's struggling with their parents? Don't raise your hands. Who's struggling with their parents? They wish the relationship was better. It should be all of us, right? You always wish it was better. And you're at that age where you probably just left them a couple years ago. Probably still detaching in some ways or anyways. Be dutiful. Can anybody tell me before I say the answer? I like to be more interactive. I said be dutiful to your parents. Why wasn't it obey your parents? It's not completely right. If there's a halaqah or khutbah that says obey your parents, it's not bad, but I don't think that's the best wording. And we'll go into it because sometimes wording is not important. People debate for an hour and it was just wording, it's semantics, you can ignore it. Sometimes the word is everything because there's a concept behind it. So you didn't hear my question, but that's okay. It's alright, you didn't hear it. It's alright. She said Jannah's under your mother's feet, taking care of your mother for sure. My question was, why did I say be dutiful to your parents? And I could have said respect, but dutiful is even more. And I didn't say point number two wasn't obey your parents. So why dutiful versus obey? That was the question. They're both good. They're both positive, but why?
Because sometimes they tell you to do things that's not right.
Okay, what does the Quran say on that topic?
What happened?
What does the Quran say on that topic? You're right. Yeah, that's why, in a sense. What does the Quran say?
Like, for example, because my parents are not actually Muslim.
Okay. Ooh.
So if I obey my parents, they will tell me to do something like, for example, oh, eat this.
Eat pork or something.
Exactly, or like something that's not haram. Like, for example, interest, riba is haram, they make money this way. And if I obey that,
It's not riba. It's interest. Interest sounds so much better than riba, right? Or no, it's financing. What, you're not gonna be responsible with your finances? Bro, get the heck out of here.
Yeah,
Not you. I went on a tangent,
like,
but this stuff messes with this stuff gets me really annoyed.
That's what I mean. Like,
You destroy entire continents based on interest in the riba, and they call it what? They're like, yeah, it's just you're not gonna be responsible with your finances, bro.
but yeah, that's exactly
You
what
gotta zoom out and see the whole picture. Excellent point. Okay,
They-
Quran directly addresses what you just brought up.
What?
The majority, but if I'm not mistaken, the majority of people here don't have that situation. Their parents are Muslim, yes or no? Majority of your parents are Muslim. But we'll talk a little bit quickly. I'm gonna mainly focus on that because it's the majority of them. It's also my parents are Muslim. But inshallah you'll still benefit. But real quick, what does the Quran say? It directly addresses that point.
What does Allah?
Yeah, your parents are not Muslim, they tell you to do something. What does the Quran say? Real quick. Someone help them out. What does the Quran say about that? They're telling you, they're encouraging you and struggling against you. Allah uses the word jihad, which is a positive thing. But he's saying they're like, you know, parents, they love you, right? So they're like trying to get you to do something that's like disobeying to Allah, or like displeasing to Allah. He says, don't obey them.
Oh, yes.
And she mashallah, it's a perfect quote. And there's a couple other ayahs, but basically that's the gist of it, is you don't obey them. But so that's why I said that's why I didn't say obey your parents, because even if they're right 99% of the time, 1% of the time they're wrong. Are you allowed to disobey your parents? Okay, guys, this section on parents, you either listen to all of it or you just tune it out and don't listen to any of it. If you listen to part and not part, you're gonna come up with the wrong message. Like, what did the speaker say? Don't listen to your parents, bro. You think I flew in here to tell you don't listen to your parents? Bro, my parents are gonna watch this, inshallah. Brother, just understand this. But yeah, you guys are doing good. So yeah, it says don't obey them in that thing, by the way. And it still says, but you still have to be respectful and dutiful, which is the word I use. I said, be dutiful to your parents. You have to be respectful and dutiful to them, regardless if they're Muslim or not Muslim. When they tell you to disobey Allah, when they don't tell you to disobey Allah, all the times. Hey, some of you guys are really focused because you know the parents is a tough one. Yeah. You always have to be dutiful to them, which means dutiful means like, well, they tell you worship this idol, or you know, more realistically today, eat pork, whatever. And like 10 minutes go by, it's like, yo, son, go get me the remote. Like, nah, you're a kafir. Nah, that's a major sin. Actually, a lot less than that would still be a major sin. Anything less, guys, please listen to the whole parents part, or don't listen at all. Anything less than 110%, let's say 100%. Anything less than 100% good treatment to your parents is a major sin. I'm gonna repeat it like 2 more times. Anything less than 100% good treatment to your parents, being dutiful to them. They need help, you help them. You smile, you don't raise your voice, you don't be rude, etc. It doesn't say obey them. There's a distinction in this. There's a distinction, and I think it's very important. The anything less than 100% good treatment to your parents is a major sin, because the Quran says what? So this one, what does it say also? What sound do people make like? Of, right? It's a more Arab thing, but it's like or like gosh, or like or rolling your eyes or whatever. They're all the equivalent. It's the lowest negative thing you can do, really. Besides, like in your head, you don't like them or something. Which is interesting. That's another point. Yeah, but 1 hour is not enough for this stuff. That's 10 rules. But you know, if we made a talk just on this one, I think it's good. But I'll at least mention the 10 rules and open up for Q&A soon. There's love of parents, حب الوالدين, طاعة الوالدين, and بر الوالدين. Bir is good treatment. So I think be dutiful to them. That's one that Allah requires in the ayahs and the hadith, so that's why I use that. He doesn't say obey them. He actually says don't obey them, but when it's only specifically when they're saying something that's wrong, you obey them. You still, that person who told you to worship idols, they ask you to do other things to them. Give me the remote, go here, do this, do that. You still have to do everything else. So you still have to obey them, but it's not 100% blind obedience. Blind obedience is only for, who do you blindly obey? Allah and His Messenger. After Messenger comes parents onwards, parents, teachers, whatever, husband, wife, none of them get blind obedience. Is it wrong Islamically, objectively, is it wrong to advise? I mean, there's a lot of context, there's a lot of, what's the word? Not when you detract, what is it when you qualifiers? Number of qualifiers, there's context, there's tone, everything. Is it wrong to tell a wife, she's married, a Muslim couple, obey your husband? Is it wrong? No, but yeah, again, a lot of, maybe not the best example, because a lot of qualifiers and a lot of, in context and what is he saying and so on. There's like exceptions to every rule. But it's not wrong. But blind obedience, yes or no? Okay, how about to your parents? No. So basically, besides Allah and His Messenger, there's no blind obedience. Cool? So I didn't use obey. I said be dutiful to them. Anything less than 100% good treatment and being dutiful to them is a major sin. And there's no exceptions to that. What if they're not Muslim? What if they're Muslim? What if they're abusive? What if they're not abusive? Okay, if they're abusive, can you keep some space? Can you take a distance? Can you not respond to the text like that same day? Can you take a couple of days? Can you breathe? Yeah, you're allowed to do that. That's the exception. Like everyone thinks that every relationship is abusive. Like, yeah, take it easy. Yeah, you're gonna hurt yourself. Yeah, you need to be a little bit more. What's the opposite of fragile? What's the word for? Be more resilient. But I mean, there are abusive relationships is a real thing. Parents can be abusive. In that case, you can take some space, take a breath. Are you allowed to raise your voice at them because you don't like? Let's say they yelled at you and said really mean, nasty things. Are you allowed to yell back and insult and so? No. Yeah, that goes against birr al-walidain, which is the highest form of good treatment. So we'll leave it for Q&A. There might be follow-up questions. Rule number 3. Rule 3 and 4 go together. It's more like our society and how to navigate. Should I just say them? Be righteous. Don't get distracted and don't fall for the traps. I think distracted, you guys can guess. What is that about? Don't get distracted. Give me throw out examples. Don't get distracted. Okay, yeah, but example, yes. Social media, cool, can be a distraction. Also can be a powerful weapon. So have it as another rule. I think it's rule number 9 or 10 in a positive way. But yes, it definitely can be a distraction. Definitely is for most, if not all of us. Yeah. Social media. What else? Throw out other examples. Distractions. Rule number 3 and 4 were don't get distracted and don't fall for the traps. Actually, don't fall for the traps comes first. But anyways. Examples, distractions. Social media is interesting. That's the first one you guys thought of. There's like a bunch of other ones. What else?
Around relationships.
Yeah, 100%. What else? Because the things that we have lust for, desire for. Music. What else? Drugs, alcohol, Netflix, YouTube. Okay, you guys get the point. Distractions. It's the heart. Who's heard? Raise your hand if you've heard shubuhat and shahawat. Right. I love this because I like alliteration. Right. She sells seashells. I mean, that's like a tongue twister, but it's also alliteration. I like when it's like the novel of a book or a movie is like the same letters. So in Arabic, it's shubuhat and shahawat. Doubts and desires. In English, it's also alliteration. Doubts and desires. Cool. They both start with the same letter. It's easy to remember. So it's the heart and the mind. Doubts, desires. Cool. So yes, don't get distracted. Don't fall for the traps. What are the traps? I'll give you guys a number of hints now. So desires, the doubts, don't fall for the traps. Well, what's the trap of our times? Intellectually, huh?
Manipulation.
Okay, but what is the psyop or the scam or the manipulation of our time? Think about it though. Like there's so many, but it's an umbrella, like the probably the beginning of all. It's interesting, you guys all said social media, you could have said money or whatever for distraction, but for this is intellectual. Doubts, desires. For doubts, right, don't fall for the traps. So what is the trap?
Like your subconscious.
So that's the cause of it, but what is the doubt? Yeah, what's like the... Well, so doubts and desires are both from shaitan. And desires, you guys went into a bunch of list of things, drugs and alcohol are easy. Okay, what is the biggest deception of our time? And where does it come from? It comes from shaitan, but what is it? What is the biggest deception of our time, intellectually?
To worship.
You guys are loud. Atheism. That's good. I'm going to zoom out a little bit.
To not fall in disbelief, right?
To not fall in disbelief, yes. There's different types of disbelief. Atheism is a bunch of different isms and schisms, a bunch of different philosophies that cause doubts to Muslims and that are basically incorrect, man-made ideologies. But what is, if you zoom out, you guys are, you're not wrong. Okay, cool. Liberalism is, in a sense, wider than atheism. Atheism is like the theological view. Liberalism is like a philosophy that includes political and theological and so on. So secularism and atheism. Feminism, although it's also different than secularism. It's another ism, but naturalism, empiricism, scientism, not science, but scientism. Obviously, we don't have time to go into all of them, but I give workshops on these topics. If you guys are interested in these topics, I do a workshop on this. But all those isms and schisms are man-made, okay? If you zoom out, you guys basically got it. The doubt of our time, or the main doubt, or the main, what was the word? The trap that people fall for is that all these religions and all these philosophies, all these isms are equal. They're all the same. In a sense that they're all man-made, which is not true. They're all man-made. Who's heard of cereal aisle syndrome? Cereal aisle syndrome. No? So many to pick from, yeah. I've never had that in my life because I love cereal and I like to try a bunch of them. But I can imagine, now that when I heard the word, I can think about it. Yeah, I'm a big cereal like every morning. Exactly. But guess what? Islam, Christianity, Judaism, secularism, atheism, whatever, they made it like a bunch of multiple choice questions and all of them are right. Look, multiple choice is the reality. The reality is that it's a multiple choice and there's always one right and the rest are wrong. But give me a second. They turned it into the cereal aisle where which one of them is right, which one's wrong. It's your preference. It's your taste. Whichever one you feel like. Yes? And they're all equally valid. A person made all these different cereals, and if you like one and I like one, we can still be best friends, and it doesn't even matter. We shouldn't even really talk about it because it's cereal. They turned religion, ideology, worldview, the sunnah that you follow, the lifestyle that you follow, the deen that you follow, your way of life. They turned it into just like a bunch of different. Yeah, make sense? That's like the biggest confusing a little bit. We can leave it to Q&A if you guys want follow-up questions. Let's go next point. We got to keep it's 10 rules. We'll have Q&A and / discussions. 5 and 6 are also connected. Be patient and be grateful. If you're like me and you like to set big goals, that's what drives you. I don't have a problem with motivation. Do I sometimes have a problem with discipline? Sure. But motivation, I don't have that problem. People have different strengths and weaknesses. Other people are able to be more calm, more patient. It's kind of like opposites. If you're very motivated, sometimes you struggle with patience. So, thank you so much. This looks delicious. Be patient. If you are the person who sets like big goals and you get like very hungry, so like you want to do big things, you want to build up that resume, you want to go to the best universities, you want to go to the best. A lot of you are nodding your heads. You want to go to the best med school, the best dental school. Great, nothing wrong with that. But then your challenge in life, among your challenges, will be to be patient. But check this out. I'll help you out. You know that this is not like a few words I can say that's going to change you into a patient person. You know it's a lifelong struggle, but I really think this helped me. In a few words, I think this will help. The bigger your goals, by definition, they take longer to achieve. I know it didn't sound so profound. It sounds simple, but think about it. The bigger the goal, by definition, it takes longer to achieve. It's harder to achieve. You have to be patient by definition. If you want to be super, super successful, you have to be patient. It's not like some people are successful and patient, some people are successful and not patient. Like patience will help because I got to be patient as I get success. No. That's how you get successful, is by being patient. Because you have big goals, it takes longer to get, like, if the goal could have been, like, let's say you work let's say you work 20 hours a day. Like, you can't work more than 20 hours a day, right? You bust your butt studying and working and whatever it is, 20 hours a day. Posting content online, whatever your thing is, you do 20 hours, fitness, push-ups, you do 20 hours a day. You can't do more than that. And you're able to do that 7 days a week without taking a break. Most people can't do that. But let's say you can. You're that kind of hustler. Fine. You do that for years in a row. Almost nobody can do that, but very few people can. Even if you did that, if that goal was something that could have been done in a few days by doing 20 hours a day, is that a big, big goal? Not really. So by definition, if you're setting huge goals, you got to be patient long term. Patient and consistent, because you can't just patient like sit on the couch patient, but like you're doing it and be patient. It's like short term and long term. Does that make sense? You have to be patient, or else set goals that you can accomplish in like, you can do overnight, or you can do in an hour, or maybe if you can't, someone else can, or like not everybody can because you're really good at it, but you can do it in a day or two. That's fine. But if you're trying to set those big goals, it takes a long time. You wouldn't be impressed by those goals. Does it make sense? You wouldn't be so excited about those goals if it's something that could have been done in a day or two. So you have to be patient. Make sense? Be grateful. Do I got to tell you guys, or you know this? I think all of us know deep down, that we're a bunch of spoiled brats. Like, let's be honest, yeah? I was born in, I'm making an assumption, some of you came from Iraq yesterday. I'm not talking about you. Some of you converted and your parents are telling you to go back to being a non-Muslim. That's major issues. I'm not saying that the immigrant Muslim community doesn't have our own major issues. We do. But generally, if you're like me, you grew up in the suburbs. I grew up in the suburbs of like Texas. You grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Generally living a good life. You might have had some, again, it's not like the suburbs have no issues. Suburbs have all the problems. But overall, when you look around the world, yes or no, we have it good, alhamdulillah. But is it not real issues if you have an issue with relationships? Parents, trying to get married, real issues. And let's say in school, a professor is like racist or xenophobic or whatever. That's real. It's not, you're doing your best to be the best student possible and someone gives you a grade you don't deserve. It's real. But wouldn't you rather that, like, there was multiple times where I got grades I know I didn't deserve. Like, it's not even, it's super clear. They're not even like, no shame, like, it's like, give me a C, like, you should give me a B because then maybe I can't argue. A C, like, I was top of the class of 100 kids and I got a C in the essay, like the best essay, like come on now. It's like, and it clearly spoke about Islam and you're like a Christian missionary and everyone knows it, like, bro, it's so ridiculous. Like, I would never do that as a professor. I hope to be a professor one day, inshallah, if Allah allows me to. And if there's a Zionist in my class, or a evangelical Christian, or which is not so common anymore, or they're Orientalists, or they're atheist, like anti-religious, secular type person, or what am I missing? Orientalist, any of those, and they're writing a strong essay, well-written essay that's completely against one of my views, insults Allah, the Quran, the Messenger. I'm talking about in America, like in the culture we're in, the context we're in. I'll give that guy or girl, I'll give them a good grade. And if I can, I'll have a discussion with them and try to change their views, but I'll give them a good grade because they did the assignment well. So I've had teachers that, it's a tangent, it's irrelevant, but I'm remembering because you guys are in college right now. That was an undergrad. That's a real issue. You have an issue with professors. They decide your grade, basically. It's really tough to appeal to your professor. Real issues. But there's also people like young men here, your age right now in many countries around the world, they're wrongfully imprisoned. And some of them are being tortured in prison. You know this. I don't have to mention names of countries, but you get the point, right? So like, how bad is your worst day here compared to like even a day of being tortured in prison like one? So maybe an extreme example, but I tell myself that on the toughest days, because we've all been through some stuff. There's a couple of days that were really tough for me, and some couple of years of my life were tougher than others. I would remind myself that I was 22 at that time or 21, things were going my way. And by the FYI, if you're 21 as a guy, it never goes a guy's way when you're 21. Like, you got to build yourself up. Nobody at 21 has like anything going for them except for like a few YouTubers. Like, realistically, they're not even 0.001%. So you're beating yourself up for no reason. Just keep working on it, and it pays off, inshallah. But that was definitely a tangent. Be grateful. You be grateful, and Allah will give you more. I will leave it for Q&A. I'll wrap up because I know I'm taking a lot of time. I know that for a fact that most of you, if not all of you, have never heard a khutbah or a halaqah or a daras. Maybe not all. I mean, I could be wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. But many of you haven't heard a talk an Islamic talk, where they told you to like take care of your fitness or like to work out or to exercise or eat well. And if you have, it was once in your lifetime. It was not common. Agreed? You rarely hear in terms of a khutbah or daras or halaqah or Islamic lecture something about fitness and working out. Guess what? It's similar to money. I'll put that in the same box as money, as politics, power, leadership, whatever word you want to use, as Yeah, let's go power, status, money. Let's go power, money, and fitness. I feel like I'm missing something, but yeah. Relationships too. These are things we almost never want to talk about. I'm specifically speaking about the immigrant American Muslim community, right? Arab, Desi, etc., Nigerian, Indonesian, etc. So I know a few of you are not part of that community, so you might or might not be able to relate. So forgive me for that, but I can't address every issue on the planet, obviously. In that community, these are things we almost never want to talk about. The reality is they're basically the biggest issues in our life. And we put Islam as one box, like this is deen, I'm trying to be practicing, so I want to maximize this box. But also balance it. I got money, I got school, I got work. You completely miss the whole, like, you can still be a good person, but you're not going to be able to get an A plus in life. Because unfortunately, you set yourself up for failure. The reality is that there's no box called Islam, deen. Are you guys following? That's not really a box. It's all the things that are important to you in your life, and the things you're trying to juggle: school, work, family, your relationship, husband, wife, brother, sister, all that stuff, all those different boxes, chill time with my friends, all those boxes, and how do I apply the deen in each of those areas? I know it might not be easy. Maybe you guys will think about it. Maybe it takes some time. It's hard to kind of switch the way you grew up for 20 years, but inshallah, it definitely helped me, so hopefully it'll help you guys. But to wrap it up, so take care of your fitness, stay fit. That also allows you for decades to be able to continue doing all these things. If you want to build your business, be the best doctor, no one wants to go to a doctor that's overweight. And I have no doubt that the doctor's going to have a better quality of life if they're fit. I mean, I don't need a study for that, right? The last couple of points, I'll summarize it and I'll open up for Q&A if we have time. The last couple of points basically are build your tribe and build your brand. Assalamu alaikum. Build your tribe. Are you guys okay with me being kind of informal the way I'm sitting? Does it bother anyone or is it okay?
That's fine.
I'm trying to focus on what I'm saying, but I'm also, I just got off a plane. It's, anyways, inshallah khair. Hopefully you guys will forgive me for that. So what were we saying? Yeah, build your tribe, build your brand. What do you guys think that means? What does that mean, build your tribe? I think I've lectured enough. And we're transitioning into Q&A, so start thinking about your questions. We're about to go into Q&A. Build your tribe. Right, you're putting Allah first, and you're being dutiful to your parents, or at least you're trying to. You know that you need to be patient, grateful, watch out for the traps, watch out for the distractions. Okay, what does that mean? So you just sit at home and the shaitan is the TV and the computer and my phone and social media and society and it's all shaitan. You just sit at home? No, you got to build your tribe, build your brand.
Ummah?
Friends?
Ummah?
Okay, friends is one circle, ummah is the widest circle. Tribe is somewhere in the middle. No, these are not wrong, guys. Remember, it's not like you're not getting these wrong. You guys are doing great. This is your thinking. That means you can remember this better. Before you leave, you want to hear them or no? You got to go. Build your tribe. No, if you have to go, you have to go. I just want you to, anyways, it'll be online, inshallah.
The community.
Your tribe is between friends, family, and community, between the two. So if there's circles, not if, there are circles, is one way to look at it. So I guess you as an individual, most of those things apply to you. Allah first, your beautiful, your parents, your fitness, your distractions, your heart, your mind. So we focus on the individual, but now we're zooming out. There's an individual, what's the next circle possibly? In our society, in a lot, like Western society, in America and so on, it's very common for friends to come before family. And most of the world, family comes more important than friends, or they're balanced. Historically and Islamically, it should be family before friends, but that's fine. Some of my friends are part of my family. It's cool. Friends and family, let's put it, friends and family. Your tribe, community, society in the world. Make sense? So now help me out. What's tribe? It's not rocket science, guys. Build your tribe.
It's your culture.
Okay, culture, people, that's wider. Tribe is your tribe, so you build your tribe. You can't build can you build Pakistan? Can you build? Yeah, sure, yeah. These are not wrong, you're all right, but yeah, family. So, if you choose a spouse, right? You didn't choose your parents, but you choose your spouse. Or you should choose your spouse, right? Islamically, you should choose your spouse. Choose your spouse. You don't choose your kids, but they're part of your tribe. And then you choose your friends. There's a reason a lot of people love their friends, and they might or might not like their parents, unfortunately. Allah protects us from that, but it's because you choose your friends. Or you should. A lot of people are passive about this, by the way. Choose your friends and mentors wisely. A lot of people will just passively, like the person sitting next to them in their freshman year in that first semester class becomes their friend. That's like gambling your life away. Like, come on. Like they could be a good person. They could be the worst person in class. Could be the best person in class. Be the best person for math and science. Could be the worst person for prayer and akhlaq. Don't gamble. I'm very purposeful. I made plenty of mistakes in my life, but one of the reasons I've had any success, or most of my success, is my parents. First of all, I got very blessed. They're amazing. After that, I was very specific. Like I'm friendly with everybody. I've probably met 50,000 people in my life so far. And I remember a lot of them, and I talk to them, WhatsApp and calls. I'm very social, like 99% extroverted. Alhamdulillah, it's Allah, gives you your personality. You don't choose it. I try to maximize it. Protests, tournaments, universities, conventions, tournaments, etc. But I'm friendly with everyone. Talk to everyone. There's benefit in knowing people, being social, networking, whatever you want to call it. But your friends, like the few of them that you'll regularly call like every day or every week or so on, they'll ask for advice. They'll get feedback. It could only be 3, 4, 5 people. That's enough, and they might have different strengths or weaknesses. You know them from different areas of your life. But be very particular, very cognizant, and very purposeful about who you pick, because they're going to impact you for the rest of your life. But yeah, choose your friends and mentors wisely. Easily could have been its own talk, but it's one of the rules. On the last point, build your tribe. Your tribe is the spouse you pick, the kids you have together, those friends, and if your friends also have a spouse and so on, and you're raising your kids together like a village. So it's person, it's family, clan, tribe, It takes, if he's building, I should remember. I know Abdurrahman. I met a bunch of new people today. I'm bad with names. It was Zayn and Adam. No, Jibreel. I'm sorry, bro. I tried. Yeah, I remember two other guys, but yeah. Jibreel. Yeah. If Jibreel builds his clan, I didn't use the word clan because it's family, clan, tribe. Technically, if you look at sociology, but clan in America, people think of the KKK. So I'm not gonna use the word clan. But like technically, like historically, anthropologically, whatever, it's family, clan, tribe. But we'll skip to go to tribe. Tribe is bigger, right? The Quraysh, those clans, they were one tribe. But let's just call it tribe. You build it, if you're building up your family and your tribe, and I'm building up my tribe, and he's building up a tribe, inshallah, good values. What were they? Put Allah first, be good for your parents, da da da. Then we have a village. It says it takes a village to raise a kid. Okay. So build your tribe and then build your brand. You and your family and friends, etc., you should be building up a brand as much as possible. Does it have to be my brand? Abdullah John is, the best speaker in the world? No, it doesn't have to be. What if my good friend has a really good skill, or has a great company, or has a great business, or he does really good on social media? I can support him. There's a million things I can do. We can build a brand together. Why is it so important to build a brand? Why is that part of an Islamic talk? Other talks right now in this university and other universities are talking about business and entrepreneurship and brand. But why did I include it as a sub point under rules of success? But why did I include that? Because going back to what we said, money and entrepreneurship and your brand and your social media and all that, those are not different boxes, and deen is one box. And you want to maximize that box, or you want to balance out the boxes. No, your deen is how do you build your brand? And what kind of brand is it? What do you do when you have that platform? How do you earn the money, and then how do you spend it? If you're running for politics or for any position in school or MSA, why do you do it, and then what do you do with it? It's not bad. Leadership is not good or bad. So how do you earn it? How do you earn it, and what do you do with it? And then similarly, I would say, so money, power, so on, and then sex, relationships, etc. is similar. Not the same. This is its own thing, but it's similar in a sense. So that's not evil, but it's like, well, how did you know? There's halal, haram relationships. But deen applies to that too. If you think that like you're pursuing marriage, that's like, oh, well, like that's time away from your religion, or like you need to not, like, bro, that's part of your deen. You're supposed to be pursuing marriage, bro. And Q&A. Bismillah. Hit me. Make it good. Make it tough. I'm only here for like a couple of days.
Why do you think like this idea of like wealth and stuff in Islam is like a taboo topic, and where do you think it's?
I told you where I think it came from. I guess I didn't go into detail, but I think it's part of the 500 plus years of colonization. Enemies put that they put it in our books, in our curriculum, in our scholars. They put that in our minds.
That comes up is like, oh, the Prophet was.
I love this, dude. Let's do this. Prophet was rich or poor? You're liking this, yeah? My brother, we're gonna talk inshallah because I'm trying to build my tribe.
Alright, how do you earn money?
Okay, wait, one thing. Oh, that's about money? We'll give you 1 second. But he still asked, I didn't answer it.
Alright.
Napkins? Well, y'all too much in Chicago, mashallah. Y'all really nice people. I don't deserve this. But truth, just as not to brag, but just like his royal brothers and sisters, yeah? The reality is, I whenever there were speakers and imams and scholars, like since I was a kid, I've helped to take care of them and all that. So it's fair that, well, anyways, you don't do it for me, you're doing it for you get the good deeds, but yeah. I used to run and try to pick them up from the airport, and they don't pick me up from the airport now. It's cool. It was a joke, but anyways. What were we saying? Yeah. I think it's from our enemies, 500 plus years of colonization, and how we see wealth. Another thing, if you mean that, if you understand from what I'm saying that being rich is good and being poor is bad, no, you don't take that from the deen. The Quran Sunnah doesn't say that clearly. In fact, there are hadiths, and I could be wrong, someone could Google it. There are hadiths that say that the Jannah is full of poor people and hellfire is full of rich people. That's not what I'm saying. And I think, forget about the hadiths, but even put the hadiths aside. If you look at the world we live in today, it's very clear that the majority of you guys know how many billionaires there are? Like roughly? 2,300? It's more than that, but I rounded to like 3K, I remember, like 3,000. It's like 2,600, but yeah. You're trying to be the next one, inshallah? Or one of them? May Allah make it, if it's good for you, may Allah give it to you. In a good way, and then use it for good. About 3,000 billionaires, which means they run the world in a sense, right? With Allah's permission, of course. Allah has all the power. They run the world. 3,000, it's not a big number. That's a very small percentage. So each of them runs, maybe a couple of countries. You get them. Each country has a number of them. Thank you. Okay. That's a lot, bro. Thank you. And I lost my train of thought. 3,000 billionaires, not too many of them. Yeah, if you look at I don't have to know them personally. I'm not judging them like, as long as you're alive, you can always repent and change. But if you look at them as in you look at like the way they're making their money, a good percentage of them is haram, and others is halal, like clothing companies and restaurants. The restaurants have haram things in them. And clothing, if you look at how they, sweatshops when I was a kid, it was sweatshops, and now it's like the Uyghur Muslims in China. It's literally slavery. Nike and Adidas, sorry to break it to you, and like 83 of the top companies. When you go to a mall and you see these top companies, the biggest brands Calvin Klein and Gap and Victoria's Secret, Nike, Adidas, that whole list. Puma is on the BDS list, but these lists are on the Uyghur list. They're taking advantage of slave labor in China. So I'm saying the majority of billionaires, unfortunately, it's haram money for them, but that doesn't mean that money is haram. Okay, now go back. It was a tangent to a tangent. Remind me of the question, where did it come from? Yeah, the Prophet was rich or poor? You guys, a lot of you said poor. He died, we know for a fact he died, he had basically nothing. There was like a shield and like a dinar, not even, like a mirror, His room had like a mirror and a sword, shield, and blade or whatever, and then like a plate and a bowl. And you get the point, right? You get the gist. I don't remember. We should study the Prophet's life even more so. But the gist of it was like maybe a couple of dollars, and no money. And he said, his inheritance. Where's his inheritance? It's knowledge. But I would say he's rich. You know why? I can argue in a number of ways, and each of them is enough in and of itself. Well, you want to go ahead? Bismillah.
No, because there was a hadith of, I can't remember if it was narrated by Uthman or Omar, but when they saw his house, they said, oh, how can the Prophet look like this? Wow.
Man, he slept on a straw mattress. He woke up, there's like red lines. Umar Khattab was like, bro, the kings and the emperors. Sometimes he would like double it, and like it's a mattress and a pillow. If it doubled, he would sleep a little bit extra, and he was like, yo, I don't need this. Like, I'm not trying to live. So there's so many more ayahs and hadith on how he was very not of this life. And Isa alayhi salam is also known for that, being ascetic, right? Not being like being a zahid, not being attached to this worldly life. Obviously, all the prophets were. Even Sulaiman. But here's the thing: Sulaiman is a prophet. Allah gave him the kingdom and power and abilities and stuff, but he's still not attached to the worldly life. So that means we understand this wrong, yeah? Prophet was rich in a number of ways. And I don't mean rich as like because he had knowledge, so he's rich, or he's rich because he's content, which is all true, the spiritual side. I mean, he's actually rich. Among his many students, who knows what's the biggest number of people that were, you can say, companions of the Prophet? There's different definitions of Sahaba and different areas of times of his life. One time it was only like 2 or 3 people, and then it was when he died, the widest circle of people that are Sahaba, roughly how many people? I think these are important. Sometimes numbers and dates and facts and names are not super important. Usually, I'll say they're not important, but sometimes it's important. I think it'll give you a good idea of like 100K. I was going to say 100K, 120K, cool. So you have at least, somebody might think it's 1,000, somebody might think it's 1,000,000. It's about 100,000 people are Sahaba. Okay, multiple of them were multi-millionaires. They're his students. So from just based on that, I'll say he's rich. If you're the CEO of a company and your employees are multi-millionaires, how are you poor, you know? No, you guys are not, that was not good enough. I have multiple reasons to say he's rich, that's just one of them. That's enough though. If he told Uthman bin Affan, your millions, he just got in, he would go in like once a year, he'd come with a caravan, or twice a year. Comes with a caravan. It was like Amazon of Arabia, not Amazon of the world at that time, right? The Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and of the time, they were like in Romans and Persians and so on, because these were empires. The Arabs were not even close. They weren't even worth colonizing. That's why the Romans empires left them. And it's Allah's, infinite wisdom that the Prophet came, united the Arabs, they went and fought, the rest is history, right? But in Arabia, the Mark Zuckerbergs and Elon Musks, and Mark Zuckerberg is a horrible example, but the billionaires and the movers and shakers and influencers a number of them were Sahaba. So the Prophet is their leader and their CEO and their head. So to say he's poor means you don't understand wealth and you don't understand influence. But there's a number of other arguments, but I want to move on because people have other questions. But
How do you find that balance between Zuhd and
yeah, exactly. Imam Nawawi answered that question, so I don't have to like come up with it and like get all philosophical. Like I'm a baby in terms of studying Deen. Imam Nawawi is one of the most loved and respected and most knowledgeable people in Islamic history, and he earned it. If you look at his books, he's incredible, right? And he died at a young age too, and he started studying Deen late. Like for a few years, he was very focused. And actually, people say that he took care of his parents, and that was one of the reasons that his knowledge was really good. But anyways, 40 Hadith of Imam Nawawi, Riyadh Salihin, same scholar, like it's top scholar. He said that Zuhd, which is again not being attached to this worldly life, it's having the dunya in your hands, not in your heart. I'm sure you guys heard this, it's a very like common phrase, but that basically answers it. So it doesn't say don't become a billionaire and don't have a billion followers on social media. I'll be lying if you did like a lie detector test and asked me, would you want to be rich and famous? Bro, you think I don't want to be rich and famous? Why? Why would I not want to be rich and famous? But if the question was, would you be rich and famous, but it also means you committed a bunch of major, no, astaghfirullah, I'm trying to like, I'm gonna be, we've already buried, me and the Muslim communities I've been part of in Houston, Omaha, we've already buried 15-year-olds, 19, hey listen, hey, real quick, yo, the Muslim communities I've been part of, and me as an imam of a masjid, we buried 15-year-olds, we buried 19-year-olds, we buried 22-year-olds, we buried 24-year-olds. I'm 29, I could die tomorrow. So I keep that in mind. But if it was halal, do I want to have $1 billion and $1 billion followers? Of course I do. But you want to have it, then I want to like spread a good message and use the money to take care of. There's billions of, you guys know what percentage of the world are hungry? What percentage of the world are hungry? A lot. That's good. 30? More.
Like 50.
About 50. About half the world is hungry. And we just hit 8 billion people this year. So about 4 billion people are hungry, no clean water, etc. So you want me to tell you, like, I will go, and I could be wrong on this. This is just Abdullah talking. I don't have an ayah or hadith to this. This is my gut. My gut tells me that if you're a Muslim guy, especially, girl, etc., especially with all the opportunities you have in America, you don't aim to make as much money as you can in a halal way. Like there's something wrong with you. Unless you're dedicating yourself that same time and energy into studying Deen, growing on social media following, so you're not making money, but you're doing influence. But you're playing one of the games. Call them games, but you're building yourself up in some way. But if you're doing none of those, you're just sitting, what are you doing? You're playing video games, smoking weed? Like, come on. And then quoting an ayah hadith to justify that you're lazy? No, man. Or you're unhealthy and you're not able to. It's different. If you're like me and you're like super healthy and young and you have time, you don't have a million responsibilities in life, and you have you're in Chicago, one of the richest cities in the world, you're like, nah, I'm not going to go for it. You're not going to try to get a good job or try to build your own business. Why? Because people might say something and all, but the ayahs and hadith say that we should be poor. Bro, get out of here. Our enemies want us to be poor and broke, and they want us not to have power, not to go for any position, and not to build up, and not to like look at different constitutions and different legal systems and study law and politics. Why? So they have the money, the power, and the influence. And what are they doing with it? Look at Kashmir, look at Palestine, look at the Uyghur, look at the Rohingya, look at Yemen, and look at all the inner cities around America. The billionaires chose to they designed America. A couple hundred years ago, as indigenous people, they wiped them out. They took 400 plus years now of people forced into slavery to build up the country. And And then what industries were they? It was all sorts of nonsense. And then now what are they doing with the money? Building all sorts of nonsense. The worst industries in the world are all based in America. Selling weapons, pornography, OnlyFans, riba, etc. And then they get the world to be enslaved to that system. And you tell me, nah, I'm going to stay away from money and politics and power. I mean, I'm not saying you can't go to Jannah, but like, this is why Allah put you in America. No human being in human history ever chose when or where they were born. No human being in history, from the billions of people that have ever lived, nobody ever chose when or where they were born. No human being in history ever chose when or where they were born. So Allah chose 1993 Texas. He chose 2002 Chicago, right? For no reason, or random, or like, come on now. Or why? So that you can spend your whole life thinking like, if I one day go to an Islamic country that doesn't even exist today, and I'll one day whatever, then I'll do whatever to one day change the world and be Salah ad-Din. Bro, get out of here, bro. You're playing too many video games, bro, and smoking weed, bro. Stop. It's embarrassing. It's not even funny. If I one day, I'm picking on the guys. I one day marry this guy who has a beard and knows deen, but also rich and also famous, and then I'll be a great wife and raise a good kid. But how about in the years that you're not married? Are you doing your 100% in terms of pleasing Allah? What if you die before you get married? What if you're a married guy and turns out not to be a good guy? Well, Allah says good guys for good girls. Always, the point is always passing the buck and always blaming people and always complaining. I would do amazing things if. No, that's nonsense. You're a college student. You know that possibly the number one opportunity on the planet today in 2023, because it does change with time and place. In America, no, in the world today in 2023, I could argue that the number one opportunity in the world is being on a college campus. Not being a student on the university. I'm not saying not being a student, but whether you're a student or not, being on college campuses, because that's where all the change happens, where policies are made. That's where people think of ideas. People change religions all the time. You have 4 years to talk to a few other students. Each of you talk to a few students, you make a change on your campus. You change the campus in America, change the rest of America, you change America, you change the world. It's not that complicated. And if you want details, ask me, we can talk about it. I have details, I can write pages and talk for hours about just college campuses making them change. And if campus is not your thing and talking to people is not your thing, there's a million other things you can do. No excuses, guys. It's not good.
Why are 5% of Muslims don't give dawah?
Ask the question again.
Why a high percentage of Muslims, like a high probability of Muslims, don't give dawah? Like that was important.
How did Islam reach you?
What happened?
How did Islam reach you? How did you know about Islam?
Oh, how I heard about
YouTube,
Islam
Instagram, TikTok?
by coming to Illinois. There's a lot of Muslim brothers I met. And,
But were they giving you that, or like you have to like?
Well, they introduced me Dean.
So we're not that bad. Like.
Okay.
We're trying, But we're fit. I would say, I mean, for me, from being within our community, the immigrant community, yeah, I spent like the last, basically since I was a kid, but it's also my personality to always talk to people, trying to give dawah my whole life.
Yeah.
And most people are not doing it. I can see that. If you're doing it, you can tell who's doing it, who's not. And publicly, there's different types of dawah, that's fine. Publicly give dawah, the majority are not. And unfortunately, way too many people are gonna like attack you, criticize you, insult you when you're trying to. It's like, bro, just be quiet and sit down, bro. If you're not gonna do, you don't want to give speeches, give khutbah, why are you gonna go up and scream at the khatib and go up and argue with the guy? And you must have bad intentions for being an MSA president. Like, bro, how do you know you don't even know your own intentions? How do you know their intentions? You think Allah's gonna ask you, between 2000 whatever you were at MSA, your president was Sarah Khan, whatever. What were her intentions, bro? What? Like you think Allah's gonna ask you about the intentions of another person? How are you supposed to bro? You guys are. It's part of the colonized mindset, by the way. We're talking about 500 years. They're like leave money, leave power, leave whatever, marriage and sex. Let's not talk about that stuff. Let's talk about relationships. They don't want you to have a bunch of kids and be happily married. They don't want any of that stuff, right? And what? Focus on the other person. One, by whining, complaining, and so on. But also, anyone's trying to do good, pull them down. Who's heard crabs in a barrel? You guys have heard of crabs in a barrel? They also call it monkeys in a barrel, but I said it offends people. Monkeys has been used to insult people, especially from Africa and so on. So I live that, but it's the same. The idea is that if you have a bunch of crabs in a barrel and they try to climb up, the other ones will pull them down. When really you should help them up, because then at least you got more space to breathe. And probably if you help 4 or 5 crabs up, one of them will come and lend you a hand. Obviously it's not about crabs or monkeys. They did an experiment with monkeys. You can Google it. It's really amazing. About like bananas in a room, and some of you heard the story. I don't have enough time for it, but yeah, human beings, we do that all the time, especially in the immigrant mindset. We have if someone's successful, then they're taking our spot. No, they're not. White people like this person and they're doing something better than me, and our job is not to please anyone. You're not to you don't need white people's approval. You don't need anybody's approval. And it's not an insult. Some of my best friends are white. They're white Muslims. And I have white non-Muslim friends. It's not a thing about white people. The problem is us though. If you're the immigrant mindset of thinking that you need someone's approval, they're more American than us, well, a bunch of nonsense. Another question? How are we on time?
We have there's a class starting at 1:30 in here.
What time is it? I'm recording.
1:18.
Couple more questions. Make them good.
How do you view israf? Like you're talking about inshallah, making a lot of money. So how do we apply that in our own life and avoiding israf?
I know a brother in Houston. Great question. I know a brother. You guys heard it or no? Israf is being wasteful. I'm saying being rich, being wasteful. Complete two different things, which I know you know, but it's a great question. I know a brother in Houston. For years, I thought he was homeless or between jobs or something because he wore a $20 outfit from Walmart. Nothing wrong with that. I buy stuff from Walmart all the time. The whole outfit was about $20, like, like Walmart, like shirt, pants, whatever. Nothing wrong with that. And he was at the masjid every prayer. Every day. Every time I was at the masjid or any of the masjid, he's always there for. So if you're there for Fajr and Isha on Mondays and Saturday, how are you gonna have a job? What kind of job? Like, it's impossible. So I thought, and for the way he dressed, he's always in the masjid, big smile. I thought his job was for homeless, which is nothing wrong with that. And I like to do big smiles towards everyone. So I said that to him many times. But a number of years go by, and again he's at the masjid, making wudu, and he's Assalamu alaikum, how are you? So I was like, brother, I forgot exactly what I said, but something like this was years ago. Like, do you have a job or like? No. I wouldn't say, do you have a job? I said, like, what do you do or something. Anyways, the point is, he's like, I'm a lawyer. No, and I was thinking, I'll be honest, I'm embarrassed. He's my friend now. Or he's my boss actually. But what I thought was the first thing. I was like, oh, Miskeen. Not only the clothes and doesn't have money, doesn't have a job. He has mental health issues. He thinks he's a lawyer and he's like at the masjid all the time. How can you be? I'm from Houston because I know lawyers, right? I'm not telling you I'm proud of it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm telling you this is what went through my head. I'm being honest. I was thinking like, dude, the poor guy has mental health issues because he's gonna see this video probably. Man, he's amazing, mashallah. I thought like, how can you be at the masjid prayers all days of the week and you're a lawyer? What kind of, the lawyers in Houston and big cities in Chicago as well, there's Muslim lawyers. But we have way more doctors than lawyers, and we need more lawyers. But anyways, we also need more scholars and new doctors and counselors and therapists. And we have a lot of engineers and doctors, but inshallah you guys will be great doctors, no problem. Just encourage your kids to also think big, and if they want to go into entrepreneurship and they want to be the next Elon Musk, don't be like, no, you got to be an engineer or doctor. Please don't do that. If your parents did it, it's understandable. They came here from another country. If you do that, there's something wrong with you. We can talk about it inshallah another time. What were we saying? So I'm like, yeah, mental health issues, how can you be a lawyer? He says, I have my own law firm. I'm like, that kind of makes sense. But he says the masjid, he basically works 18 hours a day. His breaks are to go to the masjid for prayer. He goes to the masjid for every prayer, and then his own law firm. He's on the phone, he's doing his own thing. He works all day, except for 5-10 minutes. He's at the masjid for every prayer. And he's worth like 100 million, 50 million, I don't know exactly. He's worth millions, a multimillionaire. Because he grew up his law firm he's now let's say 45, 50, I don't know. He grew his law firm in his 30s and 40s and whatever. Then now he's invested in a bunch of stuff, he's making money. On top of that, not only he has his millions, he was asked to be the lawyer for and a part of a team. It's a multi-billion-dollar team. And he saw me at the masjid in Houston, go to many different masjids for khutbahs and working with the youth, and he knows I'm volunteering most of the time. So he's like, Abdullah, you join our team. I'm like, bro, I'll clean the floor. Like, I don't know, billion-dollar investment? I didn't even know how to spell investment. This was a few years ago. Now I know at least a little bit, but I didn't have no marketing background, no business background, no entrepreneurship background, no investment background. I studied a little bit of engineering, did some pre-law, leadership, pre-law, went to law school, religion, history, like I'm into that stuff, but that's a completely different world than business, marketing, sales. So I knew nothing. They joined our team. It's like a $6 billion team, and bro, and they're like in every country in all the different industries. They're based in Texas. I'm like, yes. You don't say no, right? I'm like, yes. And I'm thinking, if he tells me to do Excel sheet, and I hate doing that, like sitting down doing stuff. But I'll do it if there's gonna be like a chunk of money. He says, your thing is to bring us anyone with an idea from the Muslim community. You go speak at universities. I'm like, yeah, I've been to like 20 now. And it's a big honor every time. I speak at 20 different high schools. I go work with different YMs and Mina and youth groups in the masajid. He said, any young person or anyone that has an idea, like Shark Tank, he said, you're bringing them to us. We have the money, we just want good ideas, we'll invest in them. Someone has an idea, basically the rest is history. So by the way, if anyone has an idea, I got you, yeah? But that story was what? Going back, what was it? This guy was dressed like $20 outfit, he's at the masjid every prayer. And I never saw his house, I don't know. So I don't know how he spends. But from what I know of him, he's clearly not wasting his money. But he's using it to invest and then also put it into like Muslim organizations and trying to like develop talent in the community. And he's worth 100 million. So being rich or having a lot of money, your net worth being high doesn't mean you have to be wasting a lot of money. In fact, you can spend $0 and have 100 million, but obviously at least you're giving zakah. But great question about saraf. Yeah, this guy's a Muslim lawyer in Houston. His name is Jamal Asafi. I work for him. I'm about to go back to Houston in a few days, inshallah. I'm gonna meet him. I haven't met him in like a year or so. But if you or anyone you know ever has like a business idea, like Shark Tank, you have an idea you want to pitch, just call me, text me, they have my number and so on. And they're very picky because they're worth $6 billion. So they're not going to invest in any random idea. But if it's good, you don't even need to know. If it's an idea for an app and you don't even know how to code, it's okay. They'll get you a team of coders. You need a lawyer for a patent, they have a team of lawyers. You need people to market it or manufacture it, it's a product you need to make it. They have all that. You just need the idea. And then the rest is history. But it's tough. I've had like 60 phone calls with them. I brought them people and only one time. They've invested in only one out of 60. So it's not easy. And most of them are decent ideas. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.